Today, we're going to look at another obsolete digital audio format. There were a couple of those, weren't there, back in the 80s and 90s. This is the highest quality of all of them. It was sent in by a viewer with the hopes that I can get it going. Let's check it out. Today I have a Sony DAT, a TCD-D7. Have no idea what's wrong with this one. It was in the mail, sent in by a viewer. This says it doesn't work and he'd like me to have a look at it. This is one that would operate off of 4 AA batteries, which I actually like, as opposed to the one that I have, which only used a rechargeable battery. And of course, once that rechargeable battery was done, which it is now, there's no way to use it portable. I don't know what the fault with this one is, but we're going to pop it apart and take a look at it. I'm going to go get my little service mat for this one, just because it's small. Whenever I use the service mat, I have to make sure I white balance my camera first, because otherwise the blue color of this will certainly affect the color temperature of the camera, more so than, say, the wood color of the bench. It's probably not a bad idea to manually white balance and do a preset every time anyway, but I generally don't bother. Okay, there's the bottom off this thing. Take the battery cover off. Listen for any strange noises. I'm going to remove the tape cover as well. Just first of all, see if it'll open. Put the power on it. We'll see whether the tape compartment opens, which it doesn't. Okay, so it's not opening. It's not opening the tape compartment. Remove these 2 screws. I'm going to disconnect this ribbon cable here from the back. This is for the controls. I think it's this one. And then we'll remove the control panel carefully. Now we can see the guides and see if everything's in place, which they look like they are. There's no... The last one of these I had, one of the guides had fallen out, but this one here, the guides are actually in place. So why is it not opening? When the door closes on this, the latch goes down. It should push a switch. So what we've got here is that the tape compartment's opening, but the latch is still latched, which is good. Yeah, but the mechanism is in the loaded position. If we remember, when I plugged in the power before, I just plugged the panel back in, so we can see that it is lighting up, so we know the unit is getting power, and it's showing that there's no tape in the unit, even though the mechanism is in the fully loaded position. Let's just see what's happening. Okay, the capsule motor's turning, and it is trying to bump. You see here? It is trying to bump the loading motor is moving. So what we may have is we may have just an alignment problem with the gears. We'll remove the ribbon cable again here just to protect it. Get that out of the way. Next step is to take the actual circuit board off so we can get at the mechanism and just see what's happening with the mechanism. So to do that, I'm going to remove the ribbon cables to protect them. So we're going to remove connectors so they can remove the circuit board and check the chassis. The connector over here. Check the alignment of the mechanism. For some reason, the system thinks that the tape is ejected when it's not. You be really careful with these ribbon connectors. They break very easily. We'll undo the battery connection for power over here. The nice thing about Sony is they always put an arrow on the screws that you need to remove for the different, for circuit boards and different things. Okay, iron is probably hot enough. Gotta go get a new tip. It's one of these things I keep forgetting to do. The knob off. Now it should lift out, I think. It'll lift out now. The board should lift out. There we go. Now there is one more connector on the bottom, so when you take these apart, be sure you don't pull the board out quickly because you could rip this connector off on the bottom. Okay, there's the board out of the way. Now here's the chassis. I want to try and put this thing through its paces manually to see what's hanging it up. Somewhere along the line this is not loading correctly. Here's our loading motor here. I guess now we'll take apart the mechanism here. I'll take out this plate and see what's going on with the gears. I guess something is not moving. That's the real tables, obviously. This should load and unload the mechanism there. See, the mechanism's actually loaded and unloaded by the capstan motor. It's sticking. It's moving, but it's sticking. There's our problem. It's gummed up. Yeah, that's our problem. It's the guides here are basically glued in place. The grease has dried up, and I think that's all that's wrong with this thing. So let me just get in here and we'll clean this up, and we'll re-lube those guides, and that may be all this thing needs. It was just gummed up, and that's why nothing would move. The guides themselves are just stuck. So we'll get in here with some alcohol and clean off these tracks. The other one, I can't see the bottom of it. It's buried under here. I can get to it on this side pretty much. And most likely the levers under here are gummed up. There's a pivot right here, and again here. I'm going to put some oil on those. I'm just going to get some just regular 20 weight electric motor oil and just put a little drop into here. And now it's totally free. See, now everything's moving nice and free. I said a nice little chat with a viewer from the UK that called me about his beta problems, and we had a nice little chat about his Betamax. And I think what I'll do is, because he was having some stiction problems with the upper drum sticking. I think maybe I have an SL2000 sitting here that I haven't worked on yet. Maybe we'll be doing a video on that one soon, and we'll do some drum service on it to take care of the problem with the tape when it polishes up the drum. Okay, ultimately this is the one that was causing the problem. Right here, there's this guide here. It's a hinge. I had to take the screw out to get oil down underneath here. It's a pivot point for this guide, and the lubricant had dried up, which was causing the guide to stick. As you can see now, the guide turns freely. So now I should be able to reassemble the unit and have pretty good confidence that it's going to work. Make sure that that screw is tightened. Now if we look at how this thing turns up quite nicely and unloads quite nicely. With no effort. Okay, now to start reassembling the mechanism. Put the base plate in. The screws on these things are there's different size screws on these little small DAT machines, so you have to kind of make sure you get the right screws in the right holes, because if you put a long screw in where a short screw is supposed to go, you're going to create problems, big time problems. There we go, load. Finish the loading cycle there, and then if we kick this back, unload. There, now unloaded. Make sure that the reels turn nicely, which they do. And then we can take this piece and put this piece back in place. This is the control. Watch the ribbon cables. And this little spring here goes down like that and locks that in place. Like that. I believe that's how that goes on. Pretty sure that's the right one. That's the right alignment now. So say there's no, in the service manual, there's no mention of this adjustment, meaning that this is something that they would never expect someone to repair. Although they do show all the parts, but they don't show an alignment procedure to set this up if it's wrong, which is poor. They should. They should have that information available, but it's not there. No tape. Excellent. Open. Load. Interesting, the drum's not starting to spin. I wonder if my connector's not in properly. We'll hit the, open that up. Okay, so that part's looking like it's working. Why did the drum motor not spin? I wonder if my connector's just not in properly. See, that's the drum motor. And it looks like it's plugged in okay. Just make sure, I'll just reseat it. Make sure it's all the way in. See, it's threading, and then it's unthreading it. The drum's not attempting to spin. Unfortunately, there comes a time when I guess it's time to just walk away from it. You know, when you're watching the medical show and the doctors are working on a patient for hours and another doctor comes in and calls it. Well, I'm going to call it on this. The drum motor is not turning. Like it goes through the loading process, it loads the tape, and then it unloads it. The drum motor is not attempting to start. When I pulled it apart a second time to look at it, I found this little piece of, I guess it's come off the mechanism somewhere. I don't even know where it came from, but this was floating around inside and it was actually lying on the circuit board. I don't know where it came from. It's obviously fallen off something in the mechanism, and that might have been what was jamming it initially. And even though I lubricated this post here and it freed up and everything's nice and free now, it may have been that this was jamming something, and when I turned it, it came free and it landed on the board. And I don't know whether it's damaged something on the board, but the drum motor does not even attempt to spin. So at this point, I'm going to say that this one here is going to be one that's not going to be repairable, just because of the fact that there are no parts available for it whatsoever. It's unfortunate because these units are getting kind of rare now, but you know, they were very mechanical devices, and like mechanical devices, they were prone to all the problems that mechanical devices had. And it could be anything. It could be a chip on there. It could be the motor itself. I say I have no idea where this little piece came out of. It just fell out of the chassis. It was inside there, and when I turned it over, it fell out. So somewhere that's come off of something. I don't know where. I don't see any place that it may have come from. I don't see anything on the mechanism as to where it could be from. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I'll get a hold of the guy that owns this thing and let him know where we stand on this thing. But I don't think he's going to be. I mean, this would be exceptionally expensive if it could be repaired. But I would not recommend at this point spending any more time on it. I've already spent enough time on this thing now, and I got the mechanism freed up, but it's got too many problems, and something like this it's just not worth fixing. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye.